Hi, today we are going to talk about nature, cycles, and balance. The basic ingredients necessary to make plants or animals are all part of a cycle. You know that a cycle is a process that starts at one point and then it has a series of steps and then it ends up back at the beginning. And then what happens? Plants use minerals. They use carbon dioxide and they use water to produce cells. And then an animal comes and eat these plants and then it dies. And then when this animal dies, the decomposers, remember mushrooms, bacteria, they come and they break down that dead organism, that dead plant, that dead animal into minerals and carbon dioxide and water again. So plants can use all of these materials again. That's the chemical cycle, okay? And there are other cycles too, like the oxygen cycle. I have a picture there that I'm gonna talk in a moment, okay? But this cycle, it's important because it's like reusing things in nature. Here they mention that the use of organic fertilizers in farming, it's an example of this cycle. Or when you do compost, for example, you get scraps of fruits and vegetables. They're gonna decay thanks to producers, and then when you put them back to the soil, then they're gonna help produce another plant. Okay. For the vocabulary today, we have the word parasitism. Okay, it's when one organism lives off of another organism that's called the host at the expense of the host. So it's like they're taking advantage. Then the word symbiosis, okay, it's when two organisms live in a close relationship with each other. For example, here, it's like when you see, for example, a big whale that always have little fish next to it, or a buffalo that have birds on it. Okay, so what's that about? It's because it's like two species or two animals or living things living together so close, they're so used to each other that they benefit from each other. Okay, in this case, for example, this animal needs the birds because they eat off bugs that are gonna bother him. And then the birds need this animal so they can be fed. You see the idea? They depend on each other. Okay, the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen cycle. Okay, so you know that in all living things, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen is present. When we learn about cells, we learn that when cells are alive and working, they carry on respiration. Remember respiration? So it means that the cells use oxygen in the air and food, and they burn it to create energy. And then during respiration, the cells give off carbon dioxide and water. And when organisms die, carbon dioxide and water are given off by decomposers. So when something is decomposing, it gives off water and carbon dioxide. So you have animals that are giving off carbon dioxide, that are giving off water, and also when living things die, you have decomposers giving off carbon dioxide and giving off um, water. And also, when certain things are burned, like coal, wood, and petroleum, then carbon dioxide and water is given off too. But also, green plants or algae, when they carry on photosynthesis, they take in all of that carbon dioxide and water, and it's in the environment and give off oxygen. See, so it's a cycle. Plants give us oxygen, but, but they take in carbon dioxide and water. And humans and animals, um, we take in oxygen but give off carbon dioxide and water. So plants and animals, we need each other, we depend on each other. Okay, and then the balance of nature. It is important in nature to have balance so that everything stays the same in a sense. When we're talking about stable biomes, it means that a population of animals or plants remain about the same year after year. That's the balance of nature, except if someone messes with that a little bit, if humans mess with the environment. But the idea is that there is balance. When we're talking about symbiosis, it's that what we talk about in the vocabulary. It's a process in which organisms that live together very close with each other. And some of them depend completely upon one another to survive. So if you, for example, harm one of the animals, then the other type of animal would die because they need each other so much. And then about parasitism. Remember, it's when one organism, the parasite, lives off another organism, the host. So the parasite is helped, but the host is harmed. And in some cases, the host will even die. An example of this, it's athlete's foot. It's when you have like a fungus, un hongo, on your skin, and it can cause infection if not treated properly. Here, the parasite would be the fungus that is living at the expense of the host, the person. Or you can think about different things like an insect that bites you and sucks your blood. You are being harmed, and this insect is having a benefit. So you see? Okay, and about people's influence to the environment. This is important because we can influence the environment and we can change the balance of nature, and not always for the better. But nature does well on her own, but well, on its own. But what happens is that even people with good intentions can really destroy the balance of nature. And here I have a story for you. In 1862, a few European rabbits were released in Australia. Okay, so somebody took these rabbits to Australia. They were not a native species. And in less than 50 years, the rabbit population was out of control in the millions. They didn't have natural enemies in Australia, no predators. So the rabbits destroyed grasslands and crops. So people were losing crops, food that they were planting. In the 1950s, the scientists have to release a deadly virus disease for the rabbits to control the rabbit population because it was out of control and it was damaging other species. And then something similar happened in 1916 because in New Jersey, that's a place in the United States, they found Japanese beetles. Okay, so these are beetles that come from Japan, but they don't know how it reached New Jersey, United States. And they spread rapidly and were responsible for loss of fruit crops, of lawns, and flowers. So these beetles eat everything inside and they started reproducing a lot. So that's a problem. You see, it's not good to take one species of animal and put it in another environment that it's not its own, because then it's going to upset the balance of nature.